Welcome to Codel Chat. Each week we provide insights on assisted living facilities and senior living to help you as an investor or operator weigh out the best options for you and getting in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm your host, Stella, with your co-hosts, Lana and Pedro.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let's start it by if you're an investor and you're thinking about getting into investments with an assisted living facility, I think you're going to want to know what is an assisted living facility.
True.
It's a building, it's a property. It could be a single family home, it could be a large building, and I'm going to give you a definition that the state tends to look at, but it provides 24-hour care for more than one individual. So from 100, based on the capacity of the building, that provides personal care and meals to residents.
Yep, that's about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can look at any building, like you said, it can be residential. You can have that 6-bed facility in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, or you can buy that independent standing building where you can have 100. So yeah, the definition remains the same no matter what the number is. And typically last week we looked at tier 1, which was 0 to 5 residents. And this week we were talking about tier 2, which is 6 to 15 residents. So it does create a little bit of a difference once you move up to a higher number of residents in regards to the building itself.
That makes a difference for sure, yeah.
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
So I believe we received a question today that we wanted to address. Let's look at that. So
Mm-hmm.
what's the question for the day that we received for our great listeners?
As an assisted living operator, how do you find potential investors and partners?
That's a very good question. That's the thing. You just gave the definition of an assisted living facility, and let's look at. And Lana, you explain the 1 to 5 resident and the 6 to 15 residents. So let's look at that because this is more of a residential nature, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to find investors for that than it is to find when you get to the 16 and above. You little bit more. It's bigger. It's more institutional, and then that requires a whole new level of investment investors. So
Correct.
when you look at the smaller ones, let's say you're an operator, as actually you both are.
We are. Yes.
So
Right.
the first option to find investors is to look around, to look in your network. So basically, to look at your family can be investors because everybody wants to kind of buy a single family home, sorry,
Single, right.
single family home, and they want to rent it out. They want to make sure nobody's going to default on it. And you have as well, you can actually go out and just look for a rental. And then try to break a deal with the owner to explain to him what you're going to do and explain to him that you're going to be the best tenant. Just coming back on the family one first. This one is the easiest. Lana, for example, you actually, that's how you started your first facility, right?
Correct. Yes. I bought the real estate, so I bought a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, did the conversions, and not only myself investing in my vision, then I also had my parents also be silent investors. So I sought them out. That's who I went to try to partner with for my business, and that's how I got started.
So that works. So family does work. Second is trying to find somebody. They're trying to find an owner to rent out or to rent their facility, their
Hmm.
home, and this is your case, Pedro, right?
That's correct. That's correct. I actually
So
have
yeah, go
actually
ahead.
had a family that had a home for rent and actually negotiated an opportunity for a long-term lease, and that's kind of how I was able to expand to location number 2 with that long-term lease.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then when you get out of your comfort zone and you take a leap of faith, then you venture into people that you know, or your neighbors, or outside of what you would usually talk to. People you go outside of people you would usually talk to, and this requires a lot of courage. but
Mhm.
the results are so great. People out there, individuals looking for like for the best tenants, and the best tenants are operators, because you guys always pay your rent on time. You never destroy the property. You take care of it because you need your resident to be in good shape. So basically, you're the best tenant. So think outside of the box, and everybody that can have a home, as Dana said, a 4-2 or whatever home it is, just go and ask them. It's going to cost you nothing to ask them.
That's true, you know, because now that I've been operating mine for 2.5 years, I'm looking forward to getting a second and a third one. And I'm out there talking, you know, when people are interested in purchasing real estate, I'm like, hey, you thought about purchasing real estate? So then I can actually start another assisted living facility in that rental. So, you know, when they're looking for rental income, hey, I can probably provide a little bit better rental income for them than the average renter. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it's definitely stepping out of the comfort zone, expressing your feelings, you know, talking to people that could be great potential investors. But what about when people are going to that private lender, Stella? What about that versus maybe these short-term loans?
So yes, so basically you have your individuals, and then you may run out of people, as you said. You may ask and nobody can answer. So at that point, you may want to go to the next step and get even more courage and talk to companies who do private lending. So they're either called private lenders or hard money lenders. They
Mhm.
offer short term loans, a 12 to 18 months, and the one I'm referring to will help you more for the real estate. We're not talking right now about
The business
injecting money
piece.
in your operation. It's mainly real estate. Private lenders like that because for them, it's a great way to help you help them too. The only difference is you're going to be paying more interest rate than you would on a regular conventional loan. Now we're looking at 8 to 15% in interest on the money that you're going to borrow. That's why it's a short-term loan.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. So you
And
understand?
you know what?
Yeah.
With that, you better have a plan B of repayment on that loan, okay? Because this sounds all good when you're able to get that money, but then when it's short term, you got to figure out, how am I going to pay that back? Is this an affordable payment plan for me? Can I do this in a realistic time frame? But you know, that reminds me, like as an investor, in my early 20s in Los Angeles, California, you know, grad student, I was so excited about investing and looking at the potential opportunities. And one of my best investments was purchasing a duplex. And when
Mm.
I purchased that duplex, within 2 years, I had equity. So in 2 years, I pulled that equity out. I cashed out money, bought another property. That property within a couple of years had equity. I cashed out, purchased another property in another state. So we have to look at what we have as available as our options as well, because maybe we do. Now is a really good time in the real estate market where most people do have some equity in their property. So it may be a good time to cash out, expand your business. And then once you get that business up and running, then you can refinance that loan on that business. So there's a lot of different avenues that you can go into to, you know, initiate that new business or expand your business.
Yeah, and that's true because we always often think about other people, money, and sometimes you can be your best investor.
That's right.
And what Lana is saying, and that's awesome, is looking at what you have now that can help you get there, because you might not be able to find an individual family or even an owner that want to rent to you. You may not find a private lender, but if you have equity in your home,
Mhm.
that's your best way to start.
That's right. And that equity line is usually not going to be at a high interest rate. So it's a really good option to look at. Well, you know, next week on Golden Chat, we are going to discuss how to find that best tenant for the potential operator or the investor on the rental property, because that's like we touched on it a little bit today, but that's a really good question. We've had a lot of people
True.
interested in, you know, going down that avenue. So we hope you guys stay tuned on Golden Chat so we can discuss that next week.
So you can actually find everything we talk about today on our website, easierlivingforyou.com. You can call us with your questions. The best way to get your answers is to ask. So don't hesitate to send us your questions. And if you even want to know more or get some help, some assistance, call us. We have advisors that can talk to you on 407-794-7277, or you can email us at hello@easierlivingforyou.com.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
That was great. Nice chatting with you guys.
See you
And
next week, next Tuesday at 12:45.
All
see
right.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.